Kind of a generic response video. It's been a couple of people make videos, defending their meat eating, and the use of animals in experimentation. Douche excellency, voices in the head. And N.D. Clark. N.D. Clark's video was like his usual wishy-washy. Nothing is, he puts his dick out for no subject whatsoever. He just walks both sides of the subject. Yeah, it's immoral, but I do it anyway. What the hell does that mean? It doesn't make any sense. If it's immoral to own slaves, would you do it anyway because it's convenient? I mean, come on. The point is you don't see it as important enough. You don't give a damn enough. Period. So just say that. You think you're better. Your welfare is much more important. Your comfort is more important. It's not even your welfare, just your comfort. Your luxuries are more important than the implications of indulging, which is that some animal might be tortured. So this is, I would bet, everything I own, everything I am, that a better philosophy is going to own the future. I mean, humanity, as much as it is a disgraceful, pitiful disappointment, it is progressing. What is unthinkable, disgusting, just no way we could even comprehend having such a circumstance as slavery now. For most people, it would just be completely and utterly unacceptable. We do progress. We do realize that we are insane. That we've been insane. We can look back at just a few hundred years ago, or even just 100 years ago, and say that is insane behavior. And 100 years from now, I think humanity, if it still exists, will look back on us, if it's a civilized humanity, and say we were insane to think, to justify, to defend something that didn't need to happen, because we wouldn't spend extra money to do it without tormenting or torturing an animal, because we had to indulge a laziness. It's certainly not something there's any excuse to raise any child in this country to be a meat eater. There's no defense of it. And this fucktard, this brain scientist who argues that he needs to eat meat. He doesn't say he wants to eat it. He doesn't say he likes to eat it. He's arguing as if his survival depended on it, or his health depended on it. And it's just a pile of shit. He could live on sugar cane. He doesn't have to live on animal protein and fat. That's nonsense. So anyway, and then he makes these stupid analogies. He compares anybody who says a man's not better than a cow is the same thing as saying a cow versus a carrot. A cow is no better than a carrot. Then I mean, it's just so stupid. I mean, it just ignores the whole equation. You take those two things, man and cow, they both have a common thing in common called sentience, called the capacity to feel pain. And a carrot is irrelevant. Why don't you just say a rock? Why don't you say a piece of dirt? Why don't you say a grain of sand? I mean, it's a stupid comparison. Idiotic comparison. And then he sees, these thought experiments where, you can save one girl, or you can save, 100 horses from a fire. We'll make the equation more complex. Say 1 elephant and 100 chickens, or 10 elephants and 1 retarded human being, or 1 human being in a coma. I mean, we can have all kinds of stupid equations. And there's no point in defining it in terms of human life, because we have a social contract that obliges us to guarantee the respectability of life, just to avoid the kind of bigotries that we're imposing on animals. And most of this argument isn't about whether or not you can kill an animal, whether animals should exist or not is even a whole debatable question. The point is the enslavement of them, the torturing of them, the tormenting of them, the abusing of them, the exploitation of them. That's the key word, the exploitation. And so to sit there and we'll defend, oh yeah, well, he's all lamenting because we can't do, open brain experiments on chimpanzees, and we have to only use monkeys instead, or cats, or some other animal to perpetrate our horrors on. And even the mice and the rats. There's rational arguments to be made that these animals have a well-developed conscious life. And so if we're gonna do these thought experiments, well, how far back do we have to go in human history? Okay, I mean, 10,000 years ago, the average human was an idiot. All right, go back 50,000 years ago, and he's a fucking moron. Go back 100,000 years ago, and yeah, he was a complete fucktard. So is he a mouse then? So if some alien species decided to feed on it and to use it in laboratory experiments, that man, would that be okay with you? That would be, yeah, no big deal, no problem. I mean, they're an advanced civilization. They have a right to exploit the ignorant human. I mean, where do you draw this line? How do you draw this line? Is the more important question. What part of sentience is not sentience to you? When is a feeling not a feeling? When is an emotion not an emotion? I mean, it only qualifies if the thing feeling it knows how to count to 10. Is that the test it has to pass? What's the IQ test? What's the intelligence test we have to give an animal, an organism, before we'll have respect for it? I mean, we have a gorilla that has a couple of thousand words of language in sign language. Is that still no more than a laboratory rat? I mean, where on the scale does it fit? Is it worth more than a retarded human being? This is to trivialize, and then the whole attitude of posting posting on a subject like this and doing it in such a, with this rhetoric of tasty meat. Let's all eat some tasty meat. I mean, it's just an offensive, deliberately provocative, deliberately insulting to people who might have a bleeding heart on the subject, and their heart bleeds because their mind thinks. I mean, that's how you acquire a bleeding heart, is because you have enough awareness to realize that's part of your obligation. You're just. I mean, look, there's nothing wrong with us now looking back at slavery and calling the people who perpetrated the act evil. To call them, evil. And that's all you fucking are, okay? Because 100 years from now, they're going to know you are. I know you are now, okay? Maybe it'll take culture 100 years to figure it out. But I figured it out, okay? You're fucking evil. Not so much for the acts themselves, because those are just acts of desperate, selfish humans, but for your attitude most especially, for your incapacity to even be a little bit cautious on the subject, to be a little bit sensitive and careful. For that you're evil, because it is not simple. It is not obvious. Nature is not the guide. Nature has no capacity, it has no logic, it has no rationality, it has no capacity to reason. The very things you say elevate us high enough where we now can play God with these other organisms, the very faculties that give you that are the ones you deny making a difference. I mean, obviously, yes, we can make distinctions, we can make determinations about right and wrong. Nature can't. It doesn't have the faculties to do it. All right, so what goes on in nature and what happens with animals, yes, it's out of ignorance, but it's not ignorance for us. We can make the calculations, we can take the subject seriously, or like you, we can just be a petty little there's I don't know what. There's no word for it. You're just a little twerpy, petty, evil little bastard. You have no sophistication in how you use your intellect whatsoever. It's embarrassing to think that you're human.